Okay, hi, hello, welcome to another video. I'm writing today. I really wanted to film all week, but honestly, I have 3 tests and 3 assignments this week, so we're a little stressed. And now I'm gonna sit down and write a little bit before my first class. I only have 1 class today and it starts at 9:50, and so it's almost 8:30. So I'm gonna sit for now and just focus and get as much done as possible before my class. It hasn't actually started raining, but it looks like it's about to rain any minute, which is why the lighting is super weird. The kitties are very sleepy. I just went for my morning walk and I grabbed myself a cup of coffee. I got my playlist for Lord Huron and I'm ready to go. I've been playing around with POVs a little bit, and so that's exactly what I'm gonna do this morning. We'll talk about that a little bit later today, but I'm feeling ready to write. I have moved my body, I have showered, I have fed my body, and now I'm gonna get back to work. I'm also wearing my Bo Burnham sweater in honor of my friend Fatuma, who's actually been on this channel before. She's the one that I write with on Sundays, usually, not all the time, especially not in times like this when she has a show opening. Her show is opening tonight. I'm gonna get to go to it. I'm so excited. I got last minute tickets to the opening because it was really killing me not to go to the opening. I mean, I'm going on Saturday, but I also just really wanted to see the show the first night, and I get to do that, so I'm super jazzed. That's gonna happen tonight. I do have a test tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna keep writing because it's going really well. My test isn't until 1:30 tomorrow, so I feel like I can study pretty much all day, all morning, and be good to go. I did all of my notes and stuff this weekend, so I'm gonna keep writing. It's gonna be a writing day, and I feel really good about that. I got my tea brewing in case you can hear it in the background. I wrote a bit into a scene this morning. I've been playing a lot with my point of view lately. Over the past week or so, I've been kind of rewriting scenes in a different perspective. My comfort perspective for some reason is always 3rd person limited. I really like, as a narrator, being outside of my characters' heads, but also only knowing their thoughts. For some reason, that's my comfort place. I don't know why. I think maybe it has to do with a lot of my favorite books are written in that perspective. I think that it's the perspective that I like to read the most as a reader. Also, for the longest time, I struggled in my first book specifically. I struggled with the fact that when I was using I, my characters started sounding very similar. So I didn't use first person, but for some reason, this story is being told in first person, at least for the past week or so. And it's going really well. I think I was not struggling with my main character, but she was really quiet at the beginning because she's in a really intense situation, and being outside of her head meant that she was really quiet. And I want her to be really loud at the beginning. I want you to know who she is, what she thinks, and how she feels. And so I just started writing scenes in first person in her perspective, and it's been going really well, and I've been able to kind of get through scenes in a way that I haven't been able to in the past little bit, particularly her scenes. Now, this does pose a bit of a struggle because my other character in this book is 3rd person, and I really like his scenes. So I have no idea what the perspective of this book is going to ultimately end up being. I don't know if the scenes that I'm writing now are going to stand. I don't know if I'm going to break all the rules and have one character's perspective be in third person and another character's perspective be in first person? I don't know. We're gonna see, but we're gonna keep writing as long as the writing is going well. At the very least, it's a fun exercise that is allowing me to get to know her a little bit better and allowing me to bring her out of the terrible scenarios that she's in and give her a personality up front. So at the very least, it's a fun exercise. I'm gonna keep writing. I'm gonna pour myself some tea. I'm gonna keep writing, and then I'm gonna make the quickest dinner. And then I'm gonna go to my friend's show opening tonight, Fatuma Adar. The show is called She's Not Special. That will be my treat after writing. Ooh, really quickly, I started listening to 7 Days in June. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. I started listening to 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and I think I'm only about like 16% in, but I can tell it's gonna be a really good book. I'm so excited to keep reading that. So I'm gonna listen to that while I'm making my way to the theater, but I'm a little nervous because I feel like it's gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt me a lot, but it's gonna be a good hurt. Okay, I'm gonna get to writing now. Oh, hey there. I'm having pudding, so I think it's time for another pudding chat, which I guess is just going to be like a regular thing here. This is the name of the company. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really, really good. I just randomly found it. I am not vegan, but I do try to eat vegan as much as possible. I just, every once in a while, I will have some fish. So just full disclosure, I'm not vegan, but it is fantastic. It's so good. I finished writing and it feels good. It was a good day. It was a solid day of work. I don't know. Let's just have a good chat. Let's just talk it out. If you follow me on Instagram, you will probably already know kind of what I'm about to talk about, because today on my Instagram, I just like let a whole thing fly about writing and self-doubt and all of that fun stuff. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you don't have to, you can, it's totally fine. Get a little bit more of like up-to-date information on like my writing efforts. Sometimes, not all the time. I'm human, I don't always post. There's also a lot of pictures of cats, so accept that. All that to say, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know what I'm about to talk about, because I am going to talk a little bit about self-doubt and failure and the idea of art and creation. It's something I've been thinking about quite a bit ever since going back to school, because going back to school has really brought to surface a lot of fears that I haven't really had to face as an adult for a really long time, particularly a intense fear of failure. You know, I've had tests for the first time in my adult life in years, and I have been awake the night before, tossing and turning, just terrified of failing the test. I came to realize later this week that writing really is my safe place. It is the safest place for me. It is the place that I've built where I allow myself to fail all the time, constantly, again and again. I've faced rejection. I have been confronted with failure so many times in my writing. And I think that any writer can hopefully say that. I feel like it's such a part of the nature of writing. You don't always land it. I did go through the process of querying the folk, and I have been rejected. And that still isn't gonna stop me from self-publishing it one day and getting it out there. But definitely, I realized that writing is my safe place. You know, alternatively, it's not just the place that I go to fail, it's the place that I go to play every single day. It's the place where I ask myself, what if? Why don't you try this? I dream. I literally use my imagination every day when I sit down to write, and it's such a beautiful thing that sometimes I take for granted, because it's also really difficult, and there is that fear of failure wrapped up in the external pressures. There is so much outward pressure, external pressure, when it comes to creation of any form of art. I really struggled a few years ago with the idea of, if I'm creating art and no one sees it,
is it really art? Am I really creating it? Like, does it even matter? And that comes from like my history with writing where, you know, I would write plays and then perform them and I would get that immediate feedback. I would write an article for journalism and it would get published and I would get feedback from people. I would be in school and I would do creative writing and I would obviously get feedback from my classmates and my teacher. And I always had that kind of immediate reaction to my work. And I finished The Folk many years ago. Okay, I finished The Folk maybe like last year or the year before, I can't remember, but I finished it and I have not shared it really at all beyond trying to get it published. And I'm going to eventually share it, but I don't know, there's just this idea of me sitting here talking about writing that makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I don't have a book out. I don't have anything to share with you yet, and I am scared that me talking about it but not actually having anything to show for it automatically makes me a failure in the eyes of others. So I've been dealing with that. And it's like really come up since I've gone back to school, this idea of me being scared to fail. And yet the contrast of writing being my safe place. At one point when I was really unhappy with my job, I felt like writing was the only thing that was going to save me. You know, I was going to get published and I'd be making money off of my writing and then I could finally quit my job. And that actually paralyzed my writing process significantly, putting that pressure on myself, because writing has to be a safe place for me. It really does. It can't be something that I rely on to make money. There can't be any pressure on it. And so I let go of a lot of things these past few years, and one of those things, and the thing that I'm probably the most proud of, is the idea that I need to impress others with my art, or that other people need to experience my art in order for it to actually be considered art. And that took a lot of work, and I'm still not 100% there. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm like totally perfect and that I don't care if anyone ever reads this story one day. No, I want people to read this story. I love this story so much. I love all of the stories that I've created, and there is something special about sharing your art, but what's actually the most special is creating it. It's really, really fun to dream about the next steps, and I will get The Folk out in this world one way or another. I will get an editor and I will publish it and everyone will get to read it who wants to read it, and that's going to be such a beautiful thing. But for now, I absolutely refuse to let my safe place become unsafe with this idea of external pressure. You know, I am a writer because every day I sit down and I write. Maybe one day you'll read my work. Maybe you never will. Maybe I'll never be able to raise the money to self-publish it, but it doesn't matter. It changes absolutely nothing but the perception of my art, because that book exists. It is there and I did it and I love it, and I love it so much, and I think about it every day. So I'm really saying this only to encourage you if you are feeling self-doubt, or if you're feeling like you're not in the place that you want to be with your art. And if that place that you want to be is in that feedback loop with an audience, I feel you, but like really try to enjoy the process of creating it, because it may be super important for your work to get out in the world, and you may feel like the world needs your art, but I promise you no one needs your art more than you do. That is what makes you an artist. That is what makes you a writer. That's what makes you a dreamer, is that ability to do the thing. And when you put all this pressure on yourself, it becomes really difficult to do that thing. When I was really going through it, capital T, capital I would ask myself the question of, if I never get published, if I'm never able to publish my book for some reason, if I can't afford it or something, will I hate my life, and am I okay with hating my life for the rest of my life because I didn't achieve this goal that I have? And the answer is a resounding no. I refuse to not love my life, and that has taken a very, very long time to get to that place with my writing and with the idea of being an artist and creating. I hope you can get there, or you are already there, because I want to take joy in the process of creation, and darn it, I will. And that doesn't mean every single day I'm gonna have a great time, but it means the overall idea of doing your art for other people is out the window for me. So that was a really long pudding chat, and I didn't actually eat any pudding during it, but I felt like I wanted to talk about it because I do think that sometimes I get into my head about how this is a little awkward that I'm not like a published author and that you're here and you're watching these videos. But I hope that I give you permission to create your art no matter what the external pressure is. And also I hope that you are able to ignore that external pressure and just keep going, keep creating, because at the end of the day, the most important person when it comes to your art is you and no one else. So writing went well is basically the fundamental underlying factor of this. And I think it's just because for the first time in couple weeks I've just been able to let go. Well, I'm gonna finish my pudding and then I am going to make the quickest dinner and then I'm gonna get ready to go to the theater. I'm really excited to see this show. I'm really excited to sit in a theater. Speaking of safe places, the theater is definitely my other safe place. There is no safer place for me than writing and the theater. And it's funny, back when I used to perform, you would never know that I suffer from anxiety or anything like that, because I just loved performing and I loved writing and I loved creating random pieces of art for people. But as an adult, and obviously being on the other side as an audience member, there's very few places in this world that I'm comfortable going completely alone in a room full of strangers and just sitting and consuming something than the theater. Hopefully that made sense. But basically, I'm going to a show completely on my own. Tom isn't coming. I'm not going with friends. There will be friends there that I will see. I'm just gonna like show up and sit in an audience and watch a show, and then I'm gonna go home on my own. And there's very few places in this world that I would do that at than the theater. So I'm very, very much excited to experience my other safe place tonight. So if you have been watching, I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you are staying well. I hope that you are creating regardless of external pressures or pressure that you may feel, because I promise no one needs your art more than you. So please keep going. I'm gonna keep going, so you gotta keep going. And we'll just keep going because this world needs art. It needs writers. It needs creators. It needs thespians. It needs everybody who wants to create something that they care so deeply about. So that's it. That's all. There might be some shots of the theater. There might not be. But until next time, I will see you in the next video if you show up. Bye.